Newsday. This is Golden News. I'm Adventure Argonaut and I'm gonna discuss some news and current events that happened in the last week, since last Tuesday. Since for some reason Tuesday has become my news day. First, I will have a look if all my streams are working. Not sure about Rumble. It seems a bit sus. Let's try again. Let's try it, because not sure if this seems okay. Okay. This one and then this one. Why do you do this to me, Rumble? Blah blah. Okay, now it seems to be live as well. Okay, and the one last check is Kick, because I've also had. Okay, the topic is Golden News, it's not Dark Souls anymore. So okay, we can finally get down to business. And let's go here. So the first news is alleged Russian propaganda and the alleged propagandists that have been punished. I didn't have time this time today to add the titles to the AI art that I like to use to illustrate the news, but oh well, I hope you will survive without it. So Lauren Chen, she was supposedly paid off by Russia or her organization, and then her, like, I think YouTube channel was terminated and all that. So let's have a look at the article. So here, who is Lauren Chen? What to know about the influencer behind alleged Russian-funded outlet? So the YouTube channel for Tenet Media, a right-wing media outlet for Justice Department, alleges is funded by Russia, was removed from the video sharing platform Friday, 3 years after the company was founded by Lauren Chen, a contributor for a Russia state-run media network and a conservative video host. So yeah, she used to be known as a roaming millennial or roaming millennial voice. um, I know who she is. Like, I think she was sort of part of the internet skeptic group, or at least adjacent. But yeah, I haven't watched much of her stuff. I sometimes see her on Twitter and stuff. But anyway, so she founded the Tenet Media with Liam Donovan, her husband, who identifies himself as Chen's husband on Instagram. It's a weird way of putting it. But anyway, it was in 2022, and okay, and the Tennessee Business Records identify Chen under the name Lauren Tam. Okay, so maybe Tam is her real name and Chen is like her internet name or something. So Tenet Media, though not directly named by the Department of Justice, was accused earlier this week of being funded by the Kremlin in a larger effort to get rid of right-wing influencers to push pro-Russia propaganda on social media. YouTube removed at least 4 channels associated with Chen, including her main channel, Pop Culture Channel, Videoholic, and after careful review by the site and its ongoing investigation to combat influence operations, the company told Forbes. So it's just okay. The first thing many people have pointed out, it's only allegations. It hasn't been proven that she's taken Russian money And then, okay, if she is it illegal? Like, I can understand, like, if you are a conservative American, patriotic American, and you listen to Tenet Media or Lauren Chen or her husband, or whatever, and then you find out that she's paid by the Russians. You are very much entitled to think it's sus, and question the veracity of some of her claims and so on. There's nothing wrong with that. However, I don't think it should be YouTube's or the US government's place to censor it. It should be for the independent, quote unquote, consumer to decide whether they want to consume her material. Moreover, like, is it is the problem that she's allegedly received money from Russia? Is that the problem, or is it that she is media influencer and she received money from Russia? Like, if you run a game store and then you get paid by a Russian company or the Russian government to, I don't know, promote board games made in Russia, for example, will you get also shut down? Like, how does it work? Like, I can understand stuff like this happening in China or something. But I thought America was the land of the free and capitalism and all of that. So it sounds a bit odd to me. Um, And of course, not to mention that I'm sure there are various media organizations and other organizations in the United States that are funded by other foreign countries, like AI, a wait, A AIPAC, IPAC is funded by or the organization promoting for a certain Middle Eastern country. I'm sure Saudi Arabia also has its money in various groups in United States and or China or but of course Russia bad, so I guess that's it. Like, it's just it doesn't sound reasonable. But let's move on to the next story. Because this, I don't know, it stinks like most things nowadays. And then there is the doctor who is very disrespectful to you. And I don't want to mention his name too directly because I don't think certain streaming platform wants people to talk about him. But I do think, a few days ago when he made his return to streaming. Some Twitch streamers did discuss him on the channel, like many of them, big names and stuff. But anyways, he came back to streaming because he was on a 2 month holiday or something. Because few couple of months ago, people alleged that Uh, he'd been sexting a minor on Twitch, and that's why he was terminated from Twitch. So, like, former Twitch employees alleged that, but he back then, well, he did deny it, but he still hasn't really explained what exactly happened. But now I just think it's interesting because back when the allegations started, most people, it seemed to be, at least any kind of celebrities, they condemned the doctor's actions, that he's bad, even though there had been some sort of, like, criminal investigation, but they found no criminal conduct, but still they condemned him as a PDF file. But I made a video back then 2 months ago yeah, the 28th of June, that that he is innocent until proven guilty, and so far nobody has proven he's guilty. Of course, he could be guilty of the, like, for all I know, he spent, went to Epstein's island every week. When Epstein was still around, for all I know, he did that, but I haven't seen any evidence of such things. And of course, he is, alleging that he did nothing wrong, and and yeah, sure, no evidence has been provided to prove that he did anything wrong, but that doesn't mean, like, okay, to say clearly what I mean is that I don't think he did anything illegal. However, it's still possible he did something immoral. That's always been my um, main view of this issue. That it's possible he did something immoral, even though it wasn't illegal. Um, and he didn't, like, he did make bunch of allegations against Twitch, and even made some video about some people. Like, he said that, some other big names on the streaming platforms, they had done sort of heinous things, but they weren't punished. They were given, multi-million-dollar deals, but he didn't name any names, so I genuinely have no idea who he was talking about. Um, but yeah, the thing is, he didn't really. Neither did he release the messages, the whispers, private messages between him and the miner that got him into trouble. Nor did he really explain what actually happened. He said what didn't happen, at least his version of it, but we still don't know. So it is possible. Like, let's say that it was a 17-year-old girl, and maybe he because he did admit that something inappropriate happened. So perhaps, I'm just spitballing here. Perhaps he said, like, "Oh, you're pretty. You look nice," or something, looking at her profile picture, and, like, and then, just hit her up. Like, I don't think that's illegal. It's, borderline creepy or something, maybe, but it's possible. Then again, maybe he did absolutely nothing wrong. Maybe it was just his underage fan who messaged him. They talked a bit on whispers, Twitch whispers, and then the fan said, like, "Oh, you're so handsome. I want to do naughty stuff with you," and that's the inappropriate stuff. I don't know, like, but yeah, it doesn't seem like he did anything illegal, at least. But yeah, I would like some clarification. Of course, he might not. He still might have be under some sort of NDA with the. Maybe he did sign some agreement with the miner, who probably isn't the miner anymore because this stuff happened, I think, like 7 years ago. So yeah, maybe he cannot really, release anything about the identity of the miner, or even if he was legally allowed to do it, maybe he still wants to, protect the identity of his fan. Maybe. So that would be a good reason, for him not to, tell us all. But then again, I don't want to go trusting him either too far, but still, it, doesn't seem like he did anything bad, like anything that bad, at least. But I just wanna talk about this message that he wrote back when this stuff happened, and because there are still plenty of people saying that, oh, he it's proof he admitted that he's a PDF file. So at the bottom there's the blue overline or coloring. Were the Twitch whisper messages with an individual miner back in 2017? The answer is yes. Were there real intentions behind these messages? The answer is absolutely not. Well, this real intentions is sort of vague. What does it mean? Anyways, these were casual, mutual conversations that sometimes lean too much in the direction of being inappropriate, but nothing more. So some people say, since he said inappropriate, that this means like he wanted to do the naughty with a minor, and that's certainly one interpretation of it. But there's plenty of other reasons. But what really bothers me that some people seem to think is like this was some sort of absolute admission of guilt, which it certainly wasn't. Like I think if you want to criticize him from being too vague to not actually tell what happened, because inappropriate can mean a bunch of different things, and rude jokes can be inappropriate, either something to do with sexual content or death or whatever. Like it's you can say it's inappropriate to fart at a funeral or inappropriate to fart in an elevator. Like, of course, they weren't farting, they were talking, but doesn't necessarily mean that they were talking about intimate contact in any sense, at least with each other or anything. But let's move on to the next story. What do we have here? Okay, it's Hannibal. Yes, this is. I don't know why the AI depicted Hannibal, the Hannibal Barca from Carthago or Carthage. Why he was depicted as a deer or a moose or whatever. But they were drones. They're deliberate. But I just wanted to have this picture. Like there should have been elephants. I didn't specify it, but anyways, this picture is weird. But I wanted to keep it because it's weird in a funny way. So let's look at the story. It's about Israel. So there's this story. Hundreds of Israeli citizens were killed by Israeli forces on October 7th last year. And ABC News said this was a mass Hannibal, thousands of people in every type of vehicle, some with hostages. Colonel Eret said 28 fighter helicopters shot all the ammunition in their bellies. So yeah, there's an article. So Israeli forces accused of killing their own citizens under the Hannibal Directive during October 7 chaos. So what is the Hannibal Directive? I hadn't heard about it. Like maybe I had heard the name, but I didn't really know what it is. So basically, it's just well, if you've seen Star Trek, what am I? Star Trek First Contact. Yeah, because like in it, Picard says like if you get caught by the Borg, it's better to kill the humans or the Starfleet officers instead of getting assimilated by the Borg. So maybe Israelis think that other people are the Borg because according to the directive, um, so it's better for captured Israeli soldiers to perish than to be captured. That's basically it. And supposedly, like this directive has been rescinded, but some say that it's not. Like maybe officially it's not in use, but in practice it is. So we'll see, I guess. But what information comes forward. But I do think is well. I'm going to read this first. The Israeli Defense Forces (IDF) said the directive was named at random by a computer program. Okay, that sounds like a complete lie to me. It's straight up lie. But Hannibal was the famous Carthaginian general who took poison rather than be captured by the Romans. Yes, and of course, it's from the Punic Wars. I really recommend you reading about it or watching YouTube videos. I think that is fascinating. Carthago delenda est, very much so. So I just think it's interesting that the Israeli forces seem to identify with Hannibal, who really hated Rome, and he was really, really good general and kicked Romans' asses several times, unless until the Romans managed to turn it around. But that's another story. So yeah, some Israeli, was it general or Eretz? What was it? What was the title? I want to see. Hannibal at Eretz now. Yeah, Air Force Colonel Nof. I don't know. Is Nof the first name, or is it another like title or something? So yeah, one former Israeli officer, Air Force Colonel Eretz, told the Haaretz podcast that the directive was not specifically ordered, but was apparently applied by responding air crews. So yeah, I haven't paid so much like detailed attention to what happened back in October in the Middle East. Of course, I've heard many reports, many of which I found unreliable. But like I did hear lots of claims that the Palestinians or Hamas or something, that they killed a lot of people. But according to this story, that's yeah, it's Colonel Eretz. This was mass Hannibal. It was tons and tons of openings in the fence, thousands of people in every type of vehicle, some with hostage and some without. Of course, this might be some weird disinformation campaign as well. Who knows? But it is an interesting story that mainstream media, ABC. Is this ABC? Is this the same? Yes, it's the same article, I think. So yeah, I guess this is something better to pay attention to, since I'm not quite sure how reliable this is. Like, well, I certainly don't think that the Palestinians have so much firepower and technology to wage open war and do all sorts of damage, even if they wanted to. But it is an interesting. Okay, and yeah, here it says Israeli authorities say more than 800 civilians and around 300 soldiers were killed on October 7th. So if this is true, that this many people died and it was the Hannibal directive, then it's more like a false flag. That's just how it is. Well, let's move on to the next story. Um, okay, so this is about Candice Owens. She was suspended from YouTube because she had Kanye West or Ye on her program or stream or something. So she's suspended. So Candice Owens says there will be no show today or at all this week. That's because YouTube has issued me a strike and a 1 week suspension for my sit down with Kanye. They also removed the interview as hate speech, as it was mass reported by Zionists. Their tactics never change. So that proved her wrong, or Kanye. Like, these people clearly have no power over anything. It's, Kanye's crazy claims are baseless, clearly, and there's no issue. Like they have no power over, no political power at all. You know, clearly no. But I do think it's interesting how the political establishment seems to dislike these young women, or not so well, women of color at least, um, in who make political podcasts and so on. Like they're getting suspended or simply banned a lot these days. I think it's interesting because we've been told that we have to listen to women of color and minorities and all that stuff, but But not those ones, clearly. These ones are the bad ones. Okay, let's just move on to the next topic. And it's a protected class of people on Twitter. Because apparently there's a protected class. So let's have a look at the story. It's more like I just saw this tweet from this 1984 fellow, and he shared this. I'm not gonna read all this. There's lots of text, so just this from the terms of service of Twitter: hateful or extremist content. So content that depicts or portrays hateful activity, harasses, shames, or insults an individual or group on the basis of race, ethnicity, gender, sexual or orientation, gender identity, age, ability, nationality, religion, caste, victims, and survivors of violent acts and their kin, immigration status, or serious disease sufferers. So, and this includes language with intent to demean, degrade, threaten, or intimidate an individual or a group belonging to a protected class, content promoting, glorifying, or any way affiliated with organizations, groups, or individuals who promote hate, extremist, terrorist content. Okay, let's go here because yeah, so I can show that it because I wanted to find the original source. Like, for all I know, this guy could have written this text himself to make Twitter sound bad, but now this seems to be from help.x.com, the X creators monetization standards. I am not monetized on Twitter X. I don't really want to give them my personal information or any of that. I do sometimes think about it, but like it might be nice to get some boost to my tweets and stuff. But because I do think the claims that Elon Musk said about this free speech and stuff, it seems very one sided. So yeah, first address this stuff, like so content that depicts or portrays hateful ideas that I guess to make fun of your, let's say, religion, race. Like, I'm pretty sure you can insult Christians all you want on Twitter. You don't get in trouble. Like, I wonder how it's with Buddhists. I haven't seen many. Like, there probably is there, but maybe not on the English Twitter. That people are disparaging Buddhists, but I think it seems to like counter to only certain groups are included in this, like or nationality or ethnicity. Like if you insult Germans, will you get banned? I don't think so. But certain, like, well, Indians and some other groups seem to be protected. So yeah, let's address the protected class. So language with intent to demean, degrade, or threaten or intimidate an individual or group belonging to a protected class. So as far as I know, it's not defined what is a protected class, except like this. But it's like then it's anybody, like, okay, survivors of violent acts and their kin. I already commented on Twitter that, well, my grandfather fought in the Winter War between Finland and Soviet Union during World War II. He even got injured, but he survived, and I'm his kin, so I should be in part of the protected class, right? But then again, I thought, like, well, it's not necessary to go so far. Like, when I was in high school, I've been, punched a few times in high school. So, and I survived. So I'm a survivor of violent act, right? Well, this is basically includes all of humanity, because pretty much everybody is related to somebody who has had something violent happen to them. So it's like, it's pointless, it's meaningless. Like, if you take words to mean something, but of course, like, the people who wrote this know what these protected classes mean, and but they don't want to say it out loud what the protected class is, because then their two-tiered system becomes more obvious. And I don't want to. Of course, I have no idea what class it could be that's protected. Like, what kind of people might the people be that are protected on Twitter? I have no idea, but and I don't want to speculate. But it is interesting that they admit that there is a protected class. And of course, once again, I have to bitch about this all of this stuff about hate. That hate is supposedly somehow bad nowadays. Uh, yeah, like another hateful conduct. What is violation of this policy? We will review the action. Blah blah blah. Okay. Hateful references. We prohibit targeting individuals or groups with content that references forms of violence or violent events where a protected category was the primary target, or victims where the intent is to harass. This includes, but is not limited to, media or text that refers or depicts genocides, except especially the Holocaust, lynchings. Okay, I'm just trying to read it again, like, to really understand what it means. So we prohibit targeting. This is hateful, according to them. We prohibit targeting individuals and groups with content that references forms of violence, violent events that were a protected category. Yeah, there's the word protected again. Was the primary target. So it is only protected. So okay, let's say that the Amish are a protected category. There probably has been some acts of violence against the Amish, although I don't really know, but I'm gonna assume. I don't want to get in trouble, so I'm gonna assume there is something like that. So if you target them, like harass them about this, like, haha, there was the I don't know, Amishville massacre of 1951, and haha, you deserved it, then you're gonna get banned and stuff. But let's say you say about the Buddhists, like the Buddhist massacre of 1931 in Myanmar or whatever, like, you're free to make fun of that because they're not a protected group. How is this? How it works? Is this hateful? Because it's absolute nonsense that, oops, I was slapping my chest in anger, um that hate is supposedly some this evil force. It is almost like the dark side of the force, that people really believe, like, oh my god, you get let hate take over, and then the evil one Sauron will somehow enter the Star Wars universe and marry the emperor, and then they will create the true evil one, and that's called Rey, of course. So yeah, it's just nonsense that hate nowadays is this. It has this supposed power, some alleged supernatural power. Like hatred is just, you can hate a movie for being bad or something. It's like and it is like some kindergarten level stuff. Like, oh, you shouldn't be mean and hateful, and it probably is a good idea in the kindergarten, that just to prevent the kids from beating each other up too much and stuff. But if we're dealing with adults, I'd like to be have more adult, like mature intelligent conversations and to identify problems in a more intelligent way and articulate way and explain them. But we are in a global nanny state, treated like children by the globe nanny. But let's move on to the next topic. So yeah, there was an embassy of Israel under attack in Munich, München in Germany. So let's have a look at this article. German police label shooting near Israel consulate in Munich a terrorist attack. So, okay, what's the difference between a consulate and an embassy? Israeli President Isaac Herzog expressed horror after a gunman opened fire in Munich on Thursday, but I'm not even sure if it was directed at the consulate or not. The article doesn't make it clear. So let's have a look. German police said on Thursday, September 5th, they assume a man who opened fire near the Israeli consulate in Munich before being shot dead by police was planning a terrorist attack. It is assumed to be a terrorist attack involving Consulate General of the State of Israel, Bavaria State Police and prosecutors said in a joint statement. A gunman opened fire at German police before he was shot dead by officers on Thursday near Munich Nazi-era documentation center and the Israeli consulate, the Bavarian State Interior Minister said. Police responded with armed force against the perpetrator, who was carrying a rifle and had fired a number of shots, said the minister Joachim Herrmann, adding that the gunman had died of his wounds. Herman said that it was obvious that the crime scene near the documentation center and the Israeli diplomatic mission could provide further clues about the gunman's motive. The minister also pointed out that Thursday marks the 52nd anniversary of the terrible attack on the Israeli team during the Olympic Games of 1972 at the hands of Palestinian militant group. Yes, blame the Palestinians. I don't know who the perpetrator was. Maybe he was actually from there, but it doesn't say it here. So yeah, the German Chancellor Olaf Scholz said the police may have prevented something terrible from happening today. Um, so it's just it doesn't really say that he was actually targeting the consulate or anybody there. Like for all I know, it was like I don't know. It was some guy with a disagreement with a guy from his work, or I don't know, some guy screwed his wife or something, and the guy just works across the street in a bakery or something. Like maybe he was aiming for somebody else, but then the cops saw him with the gun and shot him, and then he shot the cops because the cops are coming for him. Like I don't know what happened, but this article doesn't seem to know either. So it is sort of like it sounds likely that he was targeting the consulate, but it's sort of weird that they don't really say clearly that he was heading towards the consulate with the rifle and stuff. It's it's a bit sus in my opinion. And also I should read this. So German Chancellor Scholz said anti-Semitism and Islamism have no place here. It's interesting that Islamism has no place here. He says that because just imagine it would have, let's say, an Middle Eastern man would have been waving a gun around near the I don't know, French embassy or something. I don't think they would have been. Then they would have. He would have said that anti like Islamophobia has no place here. But in this context, anti-Semitism bad, Islamism bad. But in another context, I'm pretty sure anti Islamophobia would be bad if it wasn't related to another another matter together. So it is sort of strange, in my opinion, like how these preferences, how there's like this hierarchy of concerns among the political elite. I do like the image. Like I thought it would have been difficult to create this image since the AI doesn't really like for me to use words relating to weapon, gun, or something. But as long as you don't make it, you try it your sort of euphemistically. The AI has no problem producing pictures of guns as long as you don't say it directly, which is silly. But let's go to the next topic. So yeah, so it's Hungary is busing illegal immigrants to Brussels. So let's have a look. So yeah, Hungary was fined 200 million euros by the EU for opposing illegal immigration, and in response, Hungary will start sending migrants to Brussels on a one way by bus. It just reminds me of what Texas has been doing, like because the Texas shares a border with Mexico, right? So there's lots of illegals coming there, and then they're sending them to Martha's Vineyard and whatever, and also Florida. Ron DeSantis did similar stuff, which is interesting, and I support this. It's a good idea. Like, why should you allow illegal immigrants in your country? Like, it's illegal. If it's, when I was young, the government cared about at least, keeping a semblance of, respecting the law and stuff, but not nowadays. Things are strange. Strange days are here, like the Doors said, Jim Morrison. But yeah, that's just, really quick news. There's still only one story left. Yes, and it's about gaming. Space Marine 2 is out, which is sort of exciting, but of course, nothing can be just positive news, especially when it comes to video games nowadays. Because, the original Space Marine, I do think it was an excellent game. And except for the ending. The final boss was lame as fuck because it's a quick time event. It's not an actual fight. That was lame. But even still, for a quick time event, it's not so bad. But it's like in principle, I oppose quick time events, and they should be banned by the Geneva Conventions of gamer sanity or something. But anyways, let's have a look at the story or alleged story. So if you install Space Marine 2 on Steam, automatically stealth. Okay, if you install Space Marine 2, there's something wrong with this sentence. Okay, so if you install Space Marines 2 on Steam, Steam automatically stealth downloads Epic Online Services. This is not mentioned anywhere on the store. This install Epic Online Services automatically for absolutely no reason. You can uninstall it right away and the game works perfectly fine. This is not mentioned anywhere on the store page, completely unacceptable. And the developer at least responded to it. We understand your concern with the installation of the Epic Online Services client. We can assure you that this is only implemented to support optional cross-play between Steam and Epic players and to synchronize friend lists between the two stores. Also, this is not a necessary step in order to enjoy Space Marine 2. If you're having any more issues, blah blah blah. Okay. So yeah, it is like, and I guess this means that it's a real thing. It happens, or I don't know if they patched it out or it made it optional somehow when you install the game. Not sure if there's any changes to this story. But there's another, just Twitter. So yeah, and it's mixed at that point. I'm gonna have a look. Steam just yeah, now it's very positive. Like the Steam reviews, I checked Steam on my. Didn't share the image on the stream, but anyway, so I don't know if they have fixed this problem. And yeah, Space Marine 2 forces you to install Epic Game Store and has a EULA saying you can't sue Epic and data gathering is turned on by default. This was never mentioned on Steam base. If this is true, like this is just some guy on Discord, I believe. So take it with a grain of salt. But if the EULA says you can't sue Epic, so it's like the Disney story all over again. Like you die. I don't know. There's a game so bad on Epic or like Epic launcher or something that fries your computer and you get electric shock and die, and then you cannot sue them. Well, or like let's say your brother dies and from it, and then you're also you're both Epic users, and then you cannot sue them. It's like I don't know, like this warrants for my corporate death penalty. Any corporation that tries to tell you you have no right to sue them, like maybe there is some very specific circumstances where it makes sense that they say you cannot sue us for this or that. Uh, okay, perhaps, but generally speaking, if a corporation tries to say you have no right to sue them if you do this or that, then it's the corporation should be decapitated, because my argument is that since corporations nowadays are artificial persons, they have many of the rights of people but none of the responsibilities. So if they do something bad, they should be um, get the corporal punishment, the death penalty for corporations, especially like corporations that lead to deaths of actual people. The corporations should be destroyed. But this is also so despicable behavior that I think it warrants death penalty for the corporation, if this is true. So yeah, these are the stories for this week. It was slightly different. I do like the Space Marine art. It was nice that Bing was able to make some Space Marine pictures that it doesn't say like, oh, this is copyright protected and you cannot make pictures of it. So maybe I should produce a bit more Space Marine art using AI while it's still possible. But anyways, so my the news week was a bit different this time than usual, because I didn't really have stories from Europe that people are getting arrested or anything for something they say on online or whatever. Like, I'm not saying no such things happen. I just they didn't catch my attention. I cannot cover every story. I cannot, like, first of all, I cannot I don't have time to look into every single story, and even if I happen to hear about stories, I of course don't have time to cover all of them. So just I choose stuff that seems interesting and relevant, and it is interesting that within the same week, both Candice Owens and Lauren Chen, they were suspended or banned from um, their video platforms. One for supposedly being funded by Russia. I don't think it says in the U.S. Constitution that you shall not receive money from Russia. If she even did so, or like. But I guess it does say in the U.S. Constitution that thou shalt worship thy God Israel, the your bestest ally, or something. I guess that's what it says in the Constitution. I'm not sure if I've ever read the whole Constitution. I've read parts of it, or is it a fairly short document? I don't know. interesting stories, and of course the protected groups on Twitter is very interesting as well. Like, and I did see people on Twitter trying to ask Elon Musk for clarification what it all means, but I don't think he responded for some queer reason. But yeah, it should be clear by now that there are some pigs are more equal than others. But with that, I'm gonna end the stream. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening to me ramble on. And I hope I see you next time, next week for next Tuesday News Day Golden News. And I'm Adventure Argonaut, and tomorrow I will play some more Dark Souls 2. So, bye bye.